As is popular knowledge, after the Second World War, many members and collaborators of the German National Socialist dictatorship found refuge in many countries of America and Europe, and for many years they remained hidden or protected by local governments. A very popular case was the Nazis who took refuge in South America, but much more important and known was the case of those who took refuge in Argentina. This South American country was probably one of the largest recipients of Nazi refugees in the world, which is a bit confusing and mysterious. Why exactly did Argentina grant refuge to so many Nazis? Just 1 year after the German defeat in the war, in 1946, in Argentina, the officer Juan Domingo Perón was elected president, a colonel of the Argentine army who was extremely nationalistic and a sympathizer of the fascist regimes. Perón brought to the Argentine government the ambitious, controversial and complicated task of turning Argentina into an industrial power at similar levels to the United States of America or the British Empire. Argentina, although at that time was one of the richest countries in the world, much of this wealth was sustained on agriculture. The country had a fairly backward industry compared to the great powers, and according to Perón, while this was the case, Argentina could never be totally sovereign and independent. For this reason, unlike countries like America, Britain, and the Soviet Union, Argentina launched a project to search for German engineers, scientists and other professionals who may be hiding in Europe, in order to bring them to South America and use them in their process to turn Argentina into an industrial power. In 1947, Perón established a secret network of contact and escape for former collaborators of the Nazi dictatorship who were in hiding throughout Europe. This network was supported either directly or indirectly by the Catholic Church and the Red Cross. Sometimes the Argentine government failed to hide its attempts to grant shelters to many of these fugitives, but in its defense it argued that it was simply looking for specialists in aeronautics, and that it was mere coincidence that some of these specialists were Nazi fugitives. Once the Germans arrived in Argentina, they were hired by the Argentine Company for Industrial Projects and Realizations, a company financed by the Argentine government that in theory had the purpose of helping Argentina in its industrialization process, but in reality it was nothing more than a cover for provide money and shelter for the Germans. However, this project from Argentina to bring Nazi specialists in science and technology was largely a failure for multiple reasons. First, Argentina was late to capture the professionals from Germany. Many of the best masterminds had already been captured by America or the USSR. And secondly, Argentina could not compete against these great powers when it came to offering good contracts to the Germans, because it was a less developed country and the offered payment was less. Argentina managed to host around 300 Nazi fugitives. However, most of the fugitives were low-ranking engineers and scientists like Ronald Richter, a German engineer who assured Perón that he could develop a nuclear program for his country. But this was just a false promise to escape from Europe. Realizing that this project was not paying off, Perón finally suspended funding for the project to shelter Nazi fugitives in 1953. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Remember that you can leave your opinion in the comments and tell me if you want a video about a particular topic.